Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good and all is well. Now, I must apologize to you all because I took a little hiatus. I got a big promotion at work and life has been lifing. But I had to come out for this one. And I plan to be back for good now. Now, today's chat will be about the story of Sonya Massey. And I have to be careful with the words I use because I don't want my video to be taken down. But I promise if you all pay attention and fully listen, you'll definitely be able to catch on quickly and follow the story. Now, when I saw the body cam footage of what happened to Sonya, I was in disbelief. I was baffled and I was greatly disturbed and disgusted. I could not and still cannot believe this happened. And I cannot believe how little this story is being covered. I mean, where's the outrage that we have for the black man? All that I can't breathe, the t-shirts, the marches and all of that. Where's that outrage for this black woman? Now, she reached out for help only to be exterminated in her own home by the very people whose job is to help her. By the very people who took an oath to protect and serve. By the very people we allowed to be armed with weapons and power. Power to take a life as they please. And with that being said, let's chat. On July 6, 2024, two deputies with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office in Springfield, Illinois, responded to a 911 call made by Sonya Massey. The officers made contact with Sonya at her residence. One of the officers' name, well now a former officer, or what you may hear me refer to him as in this video, is going to be this thing or that thing or the thing. But his name is Sean Grayson. Now please remember that name as it is very important to the story. But the officers made contact with Sonya at her home. And the body cam footage worn by the other officer at Grayson, with Sean Grayson, or his partner, is the footage which opens the video. Now let's break down this body cam footage piece by piece. Now according to the footage, around 1:08 a.m. in the morning, on July the 6th, the officers, they're shown searching around Sonya's neighborhood for a prowler. Now this is the reason Sonya called them. Sonya said she heard a prowler outside her home. Now, as I said, around 1:08 a.m. was about the time. Now, the footage shows the officers, Grayson and his partner, searching around Sonya's residence for a prowler, but you mainly see Grayson's partner's footage because, like I said, it's his body cam. We're going to talk about Grayson's in a minute. So, most of the footage is from the partner, but Grayson's body cam footage is going to be shown at the very end of the video, only for a brief moment. Now, I've included a link to the video in the description below. I encourage you all, it takes about 30 minutes, close to 40 minutes to actually watch this video if you can stomach it, because it was very, very cold what they did to her, well, what Grayson did to her, but I say they because the partner was there and did nothing to actually help or anything like that. But he did have his moment after the fact, but it was a little too late then. But I encourage you all to please watch the video in the description box. It's the actual body cam footage of what happened. Now, in the video, around 1:11 a.m., Grayson's partner come upon a damaged SUV. Now, the driver's side window, both of them had been burst. You know, with the first one, it wasn't all the way burst out, the driver's window, but it was smashed up really bad. And the smaller rear window, now it was completely burst out. You know, in some cars on the back of the windows, they'll have like a big window and then a little window. And that little small window, it was burst on this SUV. Now, around 1:12 a.m., Grayson's partner, he made it to Sonya's door and began to knock. And Grayson, he arrived at the door about a few moments later. And he was saying something about there was a bike around the back. He didn't know if it was hers or not. And they knocked several times, but Sonya, she did not answer. So around about 1:13 a.m., they started calling Sonya's phone. And they wanted to let her know that they were at the door, and still no answer. Now, you could hear the phone ringing on the inside of the house. So they knew that, she was getting the call, but she still didn't answer the phone or the door. And one of the officers said something to the effect, maybe she's dead in there. And the other said, I hope not, which was kind of strange to me, but let's keep on going. So Sonya yelled out, and she responded around 1:14 a.m. And that was about 2 minutes after the first knock at her door. Now, 2 minutes doesn't seem that long, right? I mean, she could have been in the bathroom, busy, or at the back of the home, and took a while to actually hear them knocking at the door. So, now to a normal person, 2 minutes to answer the door in the middle of the night, like I said, it's after 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's not really unreasonable. But to something like Grayson, them 2 minutes seemed like an eternity. And it was very visible by his words and body language. Now, by 1:15 a.m. and about around 20 seconds, Grayson appeared fidgety and very agitated. And he yelled out to Sonya, "You coming to the door or not? All right, hurry." And he could be seen pacing, and he appeared to be, to me, in my opinion, very agitated and impatient. And the thing is, they had only been waiting a little over 3 minutes. And he appears to be getting angrier and angrier by the second. And at around 1:15 a.m., about 57 seconds, Sonya opened the door. Now, Sonya, she informed the officers that she had heard someone or something outside her house. The officers asked her about the damaged SUV, and she said it was not a car. Sonya proceeded to tell the officers that she was trying to get help. I mean, she was very nervous. She was like, oh, God. And it's like she was very confused. And, yeah, she was acting as if something was really bothering her or something was really going on with her. And she said, please, God, I don't know what to do. I heard someone outside, and I did not see anyone. Now, even though she was acting this way, she still appeared to be no harm, no threat to anyone, nor to herself at this point in time. Now, I know Sonya's mental health has been mentioned, and believe it or not, she called for help to get help, and she could have been helped with her mental health. She had 2 officers there, and wait a minute, because it gets better. Now, I know her mental health had been mentioned, but I think there was something really irritating her spirit. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I mean, the fact that what happened to Sonya happened kind of proves she was dealing with something very strong spiritually. Now, wait before you call me crazy and think, with me for a moment. I just want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. Now, Sonya said she heard something outside. Now, that's why she called the police for help, right? Remember, that's why the police are there, because she said she heard something or someone. Now, whatever presence Sonya felt outside, I believe, and if you believe in spiritual and esoterical stuff, you know how they say that some stuff can't come in unless you're invited in. So I believe whatever she heard could not enter to harm her or do whatever it wanted to do to her unless it was invited in. Now let's think a little bit on who Sonya did invite in and what they did to her. By they, I mean she invited that thing, Grayson, into her home. Now, y'all can call me crazy, but I do also believe we are really fighting a spiritual warfare. I'm a lovely T support. I love her. And she said all the time, and I agree, because think about how cold and evil and dark the world has gotten. Think about the stories that we're hearing. They're getting worse and worse. I mean, just think about it. And so whatever presence, entity, or whatever Sonya felt outside her home was instead invited in, through Grayson. In my opinion, I think it was invited in through him. I'm sorry, you can call me crazy, whatever you want to say. And I'm sorry for going so deep with y'all, but let's finish the story and finish listening, and it all makes sense. So after Sonya told the officers she heard something but didn't see anyone, they asked her what took her so long to answer the door. And Sonya told them, she had to put on some clothes. She was standing there in her night clothes and a robe and all that, which is not too far-fetched at this time in the morning. Now, Grayson began asking Sonya, is there anything else I can do for you? I mean, he started acting like he was very irritated and agitated and annoyed with Sonya when he was talking with her at the door. And the partner, he was still looking around at the SUV and all of that. And Sonya, if you pay attention to the video, she was trying to go back into her home and she was getting ready to close the door. But the officers began to again ask her about the car. So Sonya told the officers, she stepped back out the door a little bit and she told the officers that the car was just left in a driveway and she did not know who had left it, who it belonged to, or any of that. And around about 1:18 a.m. and 26 seconds, the officers had made their way into Sonya's home. Now, if you look into the video, they can be seen looking around a bedroom, flashing, shining the flashlights, looking out behind the TV and all of that. It was mainly Grayson's partner who was doing that. Grayson was on the other side talking to Sonya. And when Sonya was, headed over to the couch to sit down, she got a phone call. And Sonya put the phone on speakerphone and a man could be heard talking to her. Now, from what it appears to me, that man, he was like a dispatcher or a representative for a help center or something. But I'm not really sure, but he didn't seem to be a relative or something like that. It wasn't that type of conversation. Because she was stating to the man that, I called you all because I was asking for help. I needed help. So, and she told him, I want you to hold on and stay on the phone and not hang up. Now, when she was talking to the man on the phone, it's like he was kind of blowing her off, in my opinion, because he was like disputing Sonya's request to stay on the phone. And he began to state, you're there with the officers, right? Or the deputies, correct? Something to that effect. And Sonya stated, no, hold on. And he said, hold on for what? Now, the officers within the residence, they also began to tell Sonya to hang up the phone. And maybe it's me. I don't know, but Sonya appeared very nervous and scared to be with officers alone, and she didn't really want to hang up the phone. And I don't know if she disconnected the call or the man on the phone or who disconnected the call, but all I know is the call appeared to have ended. Now, when the call began to have ended, Sonya began grabbing this like blue bag on the floor, and she had like this purse sitting on the chair, and she began grabbing the purse and the bag, and she kept stating that she had her paperwork. And earlier, she had said something about she took her medicine. Now, in the midst of this, Sonya, now remember, I said I don't think I'm crazy because there were so many things in this video. But Sonya asked that thing, Grayson, the thing that did that to her, she asked him, she said, can you hand me that Bible sitting over there? It was a Bible, a white Bible sitting on the other couch. Now, why in the middle of this she would ask him to have that Bible, I don't know. But if you slow the video down and you pay attention to when he does, the way that she looked and how her whole reaction changes after he hands her that Bible. Now, say what you must, but the expression on her face, in my opinion, was pretty unexplainable. You got to go and see it for yourself. And I tried to catch it in this photo. I couldn't catch it that good, but go back and watch the video. And all of the photos that I show are photos from the actual body cam footage. All right, so please take the time to watch that. It's in the description. Now, my true supporters know I always say, don't just believe what I say and run with it. Always do your own research. Now, after that thing, Grayson, after he gave Sonya the Bible, they began to ask her, more about the damaged car, and they began to ask her for ID and all of that. Now, Sonya informed them that her car had a dent in it, but she still didn't really say whether she owned that car or not. She just kept saying she was going to show them paperwork. Now, however, the officers, they were not interested in seeing any type of paperwork Sonya was going to produce, which very well could have been paperwork about the damaged car. They never gave her the opportunity to show it. All they were concerned about was seeing some ID. So, Sonya, she told the officers when they continuously asked for her ID, she told them, she said, well, I don't really know where it is. Now, mind you this woman is in her home, in a robe, sleeping clothes. She called the police. And if I'm going to research the other stories, and from what I've heard or, from what I've seen, she's called him a couple of times previously to this incident. So she called the police. They have her cell phone number. They pretty much have what they need to realize who Sonya is. But they were still asking for this ID. So the officers continued to ask Sonya for her ID. And she pulled out a big stack of papers or cards or something, which her ID could have been that stack. She never really got the chance to go through them. Now, while she grabbed them out, she set them on the couch. And she was steady saying she knew where her ID was. And I want to call your attention to something very interesting in the video. As you can look at this photo right here. Grayson's partner, not the one who harmed Sonya, but the other one there. This is the tattoo on his arm, as he's pointing to Sonya that her ID may be in the stack that she pulled out her purse. Now, to me, that's a very interesting tattoo. Now, I mentioned a tattoo because it seems to be very symbolic. Remember this tattoo, and remember that we said this because we are going to discuss this in another part. Alrighty, so let's continue to break down this body cam footage piece by piece. Now, Grayson's partner's tattoo is shown when he's pointing at that stack, as I said, and they're trying to get Sonya to look for her ID. Now, before she could go any further with this, or actually they could see what was in the stack, attention was turned to the pot of boiling water on the stove. Now, the officer, and I assume it's Grayson, it sounds like Grayson to me, informed Sonya to, go attend to the pot because they did need a fire. And Sonya, she got up, she went over to the stove, and she started to attend to the pot as she was told. Sonya's attending to the pot at about around 1:20 a.m. and 31 seconds. And you can see Sonya at the stove removing the pot from the fire. And a sizzle can be heard in the background. Now, this sizzle is like the sizzle, a hot pot makes when it's placed in a sink that contains those little cool droplets of water. Or if, water is ran into that hot pot because, that water is boiling, or if it's empty, but it's going to make that sizzle. I mean, we all know that sizzle. We've heard it before. And as Sonya's at the sink tending to the pot, as the officers asked her to do, Grayson, that is, began questioning Sonya about the pot of boiling water. Sonya began to repeat what he was saying about the pot of boiling water. And then she stated simply to Grayson, "Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Now, remember what I told you earlier about how it seems like it's really some spiritual warfare going on here. Now, Sonya heard something of someone outside, and this really bothered her. Whatever it was could have possibly been invited in through Grayson, as I said before. I mean, look at Sonya's face when when he handed her that Bible. Why did she even ask him to hand her the Bible? I mean, think about that for a minute. For some reason, she did not want the man on the phone to hang up either. And now she said to Grayson, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Now keep all that in mind when you listen to the rest of what I have to say. Now, after Sonya tells Grayson that thing, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," he immediately says, "That's a pretty fucking hot. I swear to God, I'll shoot you in the fucking face." Now, this is supposed to be an officer, one appointed to keep the peace. He doesn't say put your hands up or step away from the stove or put your hands up and walk toward me or get on the ground. He did none of these things that he was trained to do. Instead, he immediately went to violence and ended her life. Now, if me or you would say that to someone else and we had a gun on us, we would be facing some serious charges for a you-know-what type of threat. We will be headed down there wearing them silver bracelets with some charges that's going to follow us for the rest of our life. Now, the very first thing the officer goes to is violence. And the saddest part is that his partner watched the entire interaction and did nothing to stop it or intervene. He said nothing. "Hey, wait a minute. Let's not handle it this way. Put your hands up." Maybe if he would have said it to her, then that would have prompted his partner to do the right thing. Who knows? I'm just saying. Now, I'm curious and wondering, is that what they're teaching in the police academy nowadays? I mean, it's happening so often, too often, to think it's just a coincidence. I mean, come on now. And why do they feel so comfortable with not only threatening a life, but also taking one? Now, it's like they feel as if they can do whatever they want, and they're untouchable. Why couldn't he simply tase her? I mean, she could have put her hands up and stepped away from the stove. He didn't even try that method. And he was far back away from her. So I don't even think the water would have reached him if she would have tossed it. She didn't even step towards him. They were in two separate rooms. Now, his job and what he's paid for is to protect and serve. Now, if you can't do the job, then step aside and let someone else do it. That's all I'm simply saying. I mean, I'm confused. Are they trading in the white robes for badges now? I asked that question because all of these homicides are not making sense. What happened next to Sonya definitely does not make sense and is downright disturbing. Now, 1:20 a.m. in about 47 seconds, Grayson did exactly what he said he would do to Sonya. He shot her in the face and 2 other times. Sonya was struck a total of 3 times. Now, when Sonya was shot, she was kneeling down and cowering for her life. You could see her with only oven mitts in her hand, holding them up like above her head and cowering to the floor while he does exactly what he said he was going to do to her. She was a threat to no one at this time. And Grayson's partner, once it happened, he called in a headshot to a female. He sounded nervous and in shock, in my opinion. And he began telling Grayson he was going to go get his medical kit. He was like, I'm finna go get my kit. And Grayson stated, fuck it, she's done. You can get it, but that's a headshot. He was just like, there's no need. We're not even going to try. Grayson then began to say, dude, I'm not taking boiling water in the fucking head. She fucking came rushing me. Well, she didn't. She didn't even step towards their way. He continued to say, God damn it, fuck, and asked his partner if he was good. His partner replied, yeah, I'm good. Grayson then began stating, what you want me to do? His partner asked him, what the hell did you do? And constantly kept cursing while Grayson was trying to justify what he had just done to Sonya. Grayson could be heard saying, hell, the water came right to our feet. That water didn't come right to their feet. He had to walk around the counter from where he was when he took those fatal shots, around the counter to where this water was going. And she had buckets of water, so no telling where that water came from on that floor. So Grayson was lying, and he was working on his cover-up. And Sonya, she never took one step toward him, as she had only oven mitts in her hands while cowering to the floor when he took her life. Now, at around 1:22 a.m. and 37 seconds, Grayson finally went to get his medical kit, and his partner went to tend to Sonya. Now, he attempted to apply pressure to Sonya's wounds, but by this time, she had already bled out for a total of 3 minutes. The video was blurred when they began showing Sonya at this point because, she was injured and they can't really show all of that. So I couldn't really see where the pot was, but it was clear that the sink was on, as I was saying earlier. She went to the sink and it's like she was running water, cooling it off or something to that effect. Now, at around 1:23 a.m. and 48 seconds, Grayson's partner began to wonder where Grayson is. I mean, he began saying, come on. He began to get nervous. He was like, where's he at? Come on now. And then remember, Grayson, he was supposed to be getting his medical kit, right? But Grayson, he didn't make it back until about around 1:24 a.m. and 8 seconds. Now, it had been around about 4 minutes since Sonya was first injured, but she was still gasping, according to Grayson's partner, because you can hear him telling him, was she still gasping? So while Grayson's partner is trying to save Sonya's life, Grayson, he's pretty much not being helpful at all. And Not only was he not being helpful, he began asking his partner during this moment, while she's still gasping and the man is trying to save her, did he want to do a rundown? Now, for those who don't know what that means, it means Grayson wanted to go over the story that they were going to tell about what happened to pretty much try and save his own ass. Now, at about 1:24 a.m. and 35 seconds, Grayson began asking his partner, while his partner is still trying to save Sonya's life, you want to do a rundown? And his partner said, nope, not yet. And Grayson, as the sirens get louder and louder in the background, because you can hear the sirens. So as he hears those sirens getting louder and louder in the background, because remember, his partner called it in earlier, this heartless thing, Grayson, he was still trying to do a rundown. And because his partner wouldn't do it with him, he began doing his own rundown. Grayson began saying, the house is cleared. She was the only one. And Grayson's partner asked him, where's the gun? It's like he was asking him, where's the gun? You shot her. She didn't have a weapon. That's what I got from it. And then Grayson went to saying she had boiling water and she came at me with boiling water. And Grayson's partner asked him, he was like, in a very uncertain voice, he asked Grayson, are you sure? And Grayson said, well, yeah. Grayson said, yeah, she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus. So which is it, Grayson? Did she come at you with the boiling water? She just said she was going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus. So pretty much, this woman said she was going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and you felt like there was a reason to take her life. Now, you could hear in the background, he was like, I swear I was standing right here, as if he was standing right next to the sink. But you can clearly see in the video, he was way in the living room. He was nowhere near her nor that sink. And his partner, he was dang near by the living room door. Okay, and about 1:25 a.m. and 24 seconds, Grayson's partner let him know Sonya was still gasping. At around about 1:26 and 33 seconds, the other first responders and officers arrived at the scene of Sonya's home. Now, she was presumed to have been shot in the eye, and she had no pulse. This is what Grayson's partner said to the other responders as they started to tend to Sonya. And as EMS began to tend to Sonya, Grayson's partner went to the trunk of his car and he began shaking and panting and possibly even crying. He was losing it. I'm not sure which it was, but it was visibly obvious that he was very upset and emotional. He used the Clorox wipes to clean his hands, and another officer asked him if he was good. He said he was good, but it was very clear that he wasn't. And around about 1:33 a.m. and 16 seconds, he began to start cursing and shaking. And, now we're still talking about his partner, Grayson's partner now. But as he cursed and shook, another officer walked up to him. And this was around about 1:34 a.m. and 25 seconds. And the other officer was asking if he was good. And then he told him that he was good. And the other officer told him to go ahead and turn the body cam off. So Grayson's partner turned his body cam off at about around 1:34 a.m. and 29 seconds. Now, the bulk of the body cam footage, as I said, the one that the police released, the actual Illinois police, it's a bulk of Grayson's partner's body cam footage. But if you pay attention and you keep watching, at the end of the video, you'll actually get a small bit of what Grayson's body cam footage actually caught. They put a snippet of that in there for when he actually did what he did to Sonya. They actually got that at the end of that video. So Grayson's body cam footage, it shows the actual moment from his point of view when he took Sonya's life. And you could clearly see how far they were apart, that she had no pot, and that he lied. She was no threat to him. Sonya only had oven mitts in her hands. As I said earlier, she was never told to, put her hands up and get down on the floor and none of that. Never attempt to tase her and nothing. Immediate violence. All she said was, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Now, her spirit really irritated this man's demons. He was on the edge from the very beginning. He had so little remorse for what he had done to her. And, how he treated this woman like nothing. When the other officers asked if he was good, This animal said, I'm good. This fucking bitch was crazy. Just cold and unremorseful. Now, and to think, there has been talk about giving police officers immunity. I know y'all been hearing that, right? They've been talking about giving them immunity. Immunity would mean these monsters could do this whenever they wanted with no consequences whatsoever. I mean, we think it's bad now. Imagine how bad it'd be if they get immunity. There has also been talk about several cover-up stories that they were trying to put out when it came to what happened to Sonya. One of the stories was so far-fetched, they were saying that she had done this to herself. They had another story that they were trying to say as if she was injured by someone other than the police. I mean, these aren't stories that came from the media or speculators or anything like that, or just little people on YouTube and stuff like that. These were initial stories the police tried to feed to people. And Sonya's family, they were given a false story initially as well. I mean, thank God for the body cam footage. If not for this, we wouldn't have no clue how gruesome and heartless and heinous this crime really was. I mean, if you want to see the footage, the link is in the description of the video. As I said, you really need to watch it. Watch it for yourself. Sonya opened her door to the very people she called and counted on to help her. She opened her door to the people whose job it is to protect and serve. And this cost her life. Now, Sonya opened the door at around 1:15 a.m. in 20 seconds. And she was fatally shot by 1:20 a.m. in 47 seconds. Just a little over 5 minutes from when they first entered her home, she was fatally shot. Come on now. Now, it's very sad and heartbreaking what happened to Sonya. And I'm still unable to process what happened to her. And the saddest part is that this story is not receiving the coverage that it should. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I will continue to cover Sonya's story. I mean, there are going to be many more parts to come. I'm going to follow this to the end. The next parts to come, what we're going to be chatting about is the cover-up stories, Grayson and his background. I mean, he's a monster. He got discharged from the military. He's been, I think, through 6, 7 other police precincts. I'm pretty sure it's about 6. Just misconduct all around. And they still allow him to walk around with a gun and a badge. We're going to talk about the symbolism of the tattoo. And we're going to also discuss all the new information as it comes out and as it develops. So, we have much more to come. And, well, that brings us to the end of today's chat. Thank you all for watching. There's so much more to come. And I will also be doing much more of my regular content for you all as well. So please like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to support, you can find that information in the description below. And until next time, peace, love, and blessings.